Right now, another confirmed measles case in Dane County. What health officials are saying at this time.
And we are headed into the 60s on Monday after a warm Sunday as well. But next week after Monday, things start to get a little active. Details in the full forecast.
And we're following a plea to state officials to fund SNAP benefits in Wisconsin. That's all coming up on News 3 now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us on this Valentine's Day. I'm Jalen Banks. We'll get to all those stories in just a sec, but let's go ahead and get a look at your first one forecast. Blaze, what should we expect on this beautiful Valentine's night?
Well, quiet conditions, a little bit of fog will be possible. We'll touch on the overnight forecast here in just a moment, but we got into those mid to even upper 50s. Lone Rock, Boscobel, we were very close to reaching that 60 mark. Madison at 55 degrees. We have tied the warmest daytime high temperature recorded on Valentine's Day, not only in 1954, but also in 1934 as well. So now 3 times we have climbed to 55 degrees. Nowhere near that record cold high of 3 degrees below zero set back in 1875. All right, we are still in those 40s around the Dells. Everybody else pretty much in those low, mid, upper 30s. Monroe, we are also still at 40 degrees. Watoma, though, we are at 25. We are looking at clear to mostly clear conditions with a little bit of fog further to the north on this Valentine's evening, hanging out well above where we should be for this time of year. We should be right around 14 degrees. We'll be in the 30s. Now, we are looking at 2 systems to move through the area starting later next week. We're going to break down what each one of those may bring coming up in the full forecast.
All right, sounds good, Blaze. We'll see you then. And health officials on Saturday confirmed that they are investigating the 2nd measles case in Dane County and the 4th in Wisconsin after an out-of-state traveler stayed at a Madison hotel earlier this month. Public Health Madison and Dane County says the person stayed at the Holiday Inn Express at 5150 High Crossing Boulevard on February 6th from just after midnight to noon. Measles is a highly contagious disease that can spread from person to person through the air and can remain airborne for up to 2 hours after a sick person coughs or sneezes. It's very contagious that if one person contracts it, up to 90% of people around them may also become infected if they're not vaccinated. In Monroe County, the Wisconsin State Patrol says a Muskego man has been arrested for his 4th OWI. Officials say they made a traffic stop on a vehicle following a violation at just after 2:40 this morning on I-90, about 9 miles east of Sparta. When the officer talked to the driver, they saw signs of impairment. They conducted an investigation, and the man, 39-year-old James Lee Lopez of Muskego, was arrested for his 4th OWI. And in the village of Summit, local officials are working with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to investigate a morning structure fire. The Western Lakes Fire District and Summit police were called to the scene on Sugar Island at 11:07 this morning. A caller had reported the fire from across the lake, that they first thought it was a controlled burn before realizing it was a structure fire. All occupants thankfully got out safely. One person, however, was assessed by emergency medical services as part of the incident. The investigation is ongoing. Now, the state says it needs about $70 million to update the food share program after changes in President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. The State Department of Health Services estimates about half the money would cover administrative costs, with another $16 million for county staff and DHS positions. Officials say more funding is needed to help people meet new work requirements to keep their benefits.
And now that there is more work, there are more people who need to do more things. It is extremely important that we have the workers in place to make sure that everybody who is coming through the door understands what they need to do and can do it on deadlines so that their food share is not disrupted.
The coalition backing the funding includes anti-hunger advocates, agricultural groups, and local government leaders. In more local news, Madison's 2025 Housing Snapshot Report shows high construction costs and rising interest rates are making it challenging for some first-time home buyers. More than 60% of Madison home buyers earn above the median income, leaving many first-time buyers locked out. The report also found nearly half of Black households spend more than 30% of their income on housing. The Urban League is now working to help first-time buyers navigate those challenges.
For my demographic, home ownership is hard to obtain. My father and mother were able to do so, and I just wanted to continue that legacy. We hope to level the playing field, and we do that by educating and being able to use our resources. Again, we couldn't do this without the collaboration and the partnership of local organizations, real estate professionals, mortgage lending professionals.
The Urban League partners with organizations and financial experts across the city to host free home buyer education and other financial literacy courses every month. The February primary is coming up on Tuesday, and we have some voting details to share with you. Today marked the final day to register at an absentee voting location before the election. State law prohibits voter registration the Saturday, Sunday, or Monday before the election. You can, however, register at the polls on Tuesday before you vote. You'll need to show an ID to receive an absentee ballot. Now, here's what's set to be on your ballot. All Dane County voters will vote for the next judge in Dane County Circuit Court Branch 1. Incumbent Judge Ben Jones is running against two challengers, Huma Hassan and Nathan Wagner. There will also be some contested primaries for some Dane County supervisor races. That's in District 12 and District 15. After the February 17th primary, the spring general election takes place on April 7th. And ahead of Election Day, News 3 Now has sent out questionnaires to the candidates. You can find the responses from candidates from the Dane County Board online at channel3000.com. Just go to News, then Elections to find the stories. Now, independent bookstores are popping up nationwide, and there's a new one here in Madison with a bit of a unique twist, perfect for a Valentine's Day debut. Wanderlust Mobile Bookstore is the first romance-only mobile bookstore in Madison. They're woman-owned with an aim to bring diverse, joyful, and love-filled titles to the local community. At the store's grand opening, people waited in line to squish together to peruse the new bookstore.
It's incredible to see the vision come to reality because it's been in my head for like over a year, and now seeing people like interested in a project that we've been pouring our hearts into is even more than we could imagine.
Wanderlust is full of many different books from romance subgenres, as well as bookmarks, candles, stickers, and more. It's also a pop-up bookstore, meaning that you can't just visit when you want to. To find out when and where the bookstore will be next, you can sign up for their newsletter or follow them on social media at Wanderlust Mobile Books. Coming up next on News 3 Now at 10, Blaze returns with a complete look of your first warn forecast and the latest on the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping, what authorities are saying in Tucson. Plus, a partial government shutdown centered on the Department of Homeland Security. What's next after the break?
You're watching News 3 Now at 10. Moving forward.
Ring is responding after its Super Bowl commercial got a lot of people talking. That ad showed how Ring owners can share their camera videos to help owners of lost dogs find their animals. It immediately drew concern from people worried about how else that type of AI technology could be used. Now, Amazon, which owns Ring, announced it is ending its partnership with Flock Safety. That company lets Ring owners share video with law enforcement agencies. Amazon claims it realized the integration would have cost too much time and money. Ring's dog finding function is still available. The company points out users have to grant video sharing permission each time a pet owner requests it. President Donald Trump says voter ID will be required for the upcoming midterm elections, even if Congress doesn't approve it. In a pair of Truth Social posts on Friday, the president said he will issue an executive order in which he will make his legal case on the matter. He also wrote there should be a ban for mail-in ballots with some exceptions. It's unclear how Trump could mandate voter IDs across the nation without congressional approval. Earlier this week, the Republican-controlled House did pass legislation that would require photo ID to vote in federal elections. However, the bill is unlikely to pass the Senate, where it would need bipartisan support. There were two searches at two different locations in Tucson, but still, no one is under arrest in the disappearance of 84-year-old grandmother Nancy Guthrie.
Late Friday night, law enforcement flooded a neighborhood about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home as investigators executed a search warrant at this residence.
The police didn't tell us anything, so we don't know.
SWAT and forensics teams following leads in Guthrie's disappearance.
This is really shocking crime, and people are really frightened.
Later, at a nearby restaurant, officers surrounded this SUV and questioned a driver for hours. But again, no one was taken into custody.
It was a Friday night during the middle of the dinner rush, so I think they had their part of the parking lot completely blocked off.
It has been 2 weeks since Nancy Guthrie disappeared. This week, the FBI released the first physical description of the armed individual seen on her doorbell camera. The man is 5'9" to 5'10", with an average build and wearing a black Ozark Trail hiker backpack like the one shown in these photos. The backpack is sold exclusively at Walmart. Sources tell CBS News law enforcement officials reviewed video at this Walmart location in Tucson. Local law enforcement officials say they've processed fingerprints and DNA evidence, including a pair of gloves the New York Post captured photos of near the crime scene.
There has been no sign of life, but I'm going to tell you, too, there's been no sign of death.
The FBI has doubled its reward money to $100,000 for any information leading to Nancy's safe return or an arrest in her disappearance. Andres Gutierrez, CBS News, Tucson, Arizona.
Several medical groups were in federal court Friday asking a judge to block the Trump administration's revamped vaccine recommendations for children. The organizations, which include the American Academy of Pediatrics, filed a lawsuit against the Department of Health and Human Services. During the hearing, lawyers for the organizations argued HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did not go through the proper legal channels when the agency recommended fewer vaccines. They claim the move stems from Kennedy's anti-vaccine agenda. The government argued Kennedy had the legal authority to make the change. The organizations also had asked the judge to order the cancellation of the next meetings of the CDC's Independent Vaccine Advisory Committee. The judge is expected to make a decision as early as the end of next week. Even small amounts of daily movement can have a big impact on your health. Researchers looked at what happens when people move just a little more each day. Data was analyzed from studies that followed tens of thousands of people in the U.S., Norway, Sweden, and the U.K. The research found that adding just 5 minutes of moderate to vigorous daily activity could prevent up to 10% of all deaths across the population. Reducing daily sitting time by 30 minutes a day was also shown to prevent up to about 7% of deaths for some. The findings reinforce other research that makes a strong link between physical activity and longer life. A partial government shutdown centered on the Department of Homeland Security began just after midnight. Congress went home for the holiday weekend without passing a budget bill. For what this all means, we're going to head to West Palm Beach, Florida, where Willie James Inman is traveling with the president.
TSA workers at the nation's airports this weekend assumed a familiar role today, the face of the latest impasse in Congress. The Coast Guard and FEMA also on the job without pay, with lawmakers failing to fund the Department of Homeland Security with no deal in sight.
I know what they want. I know what they can live with. The Democrats have gone crazy. Stay back!
The partial shutdown sparked by backlash over federal immigration officer tactics in Minnesota, leading to the deaths of 2 Americans. Renee Good and Alex Preddy were remembered at a community gathering Saturday. Democrats sticking with their demands, including a ban on face masks for immigration agents, a requirement for officers to show ID, and wear body cameras.
The only way to ensure that ICE is actually reined in is to change things dramatically, boldly, meaningfully through legislation, and that's what this showdown is all about.
Tens of billions in previous funding allows ICE and Customs and Border Protection to operate during the shutdown, prompting Pennsylvania Democrat John Fetterman to question its impact.
Why are all the Democrats going to shut down our entire DHS when we all know that it has no impact on ICE?
Also on Friday, a federal judge in Boston ordered the Trump administration to return college freshman Annie Lucia Lopez Belloza to the U.S. within 2 weeks after she was wrongfully deported to Honduras.
20-year-old Belloza was taken into custody at Boston's Logan Airport before she was deported in November against a court order. She was on her way to visit her family for Thanksgiving. Willie James Inman, CBS News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Certainly something we'll continue to keep our eye on, but for now, let's go ahead and get a look at your first warn forecast. Blaze.
We have got a lot to talk about, Jalen. It is going to be a warm end to your Valentine's Day weekend and a quiet and warm start to next week. 60s possible on Monday, 50s on Sunday. Patchy fog not only tonight, but also Sunday night into Monday. And then we start to get a little bit more active, as I was kind of thinking here even a week ago that we were going to see maybe one, possibly two systems move through the Midwest, impacting southern Wisconsin starting in the days after Valentine's Day. The first system will look to arrive Tuesday night through at least Wednesday night. My confidence is the highest with system number 1. This one could also bring us not only rain and a few thunderstorms, but possibly an isolated severe weather chance. System number 2, Thursday through Friday, not as high of confidence, but it's starting to improve, or I'm starting to get a higher confidence level. Latest long-term models are starting to come together, and that would lead to possibly some snow as we go into the second half of next week. But let's jump ahead to Tuesday night into Wednesday when that first system moves on through, because Sunday and Monday will be quiet. What we're looking at here is a little bit of atmospheric energy. Based on our key here, the dark reds are low, but this is maybe just a little appetizer, if you will, in terms of the food that these storms could use. Non-severe storms and severe storms, they like food. So even an appetizer, so to speak, is enough to get them going. Temperatures, though, and I have all of these stopping at the same time, or at the same time Wednesday morning at about 5:36. Temperatures, upper 40s to low 50s. If I was expecting severe weather, I'd want those temperatures in the mid to upper 50s to low 60s at the very least. Also, our dew points in those upper 40s to low 50s. Would absolutely need them to be higher than this, in the 50s to 60s. That's not to say we couldn't get severe weather, because weather is not an exact science. 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 4. We can sometimes have all the ingredients for the cake, put it in the oven, and the cake comes out ruined. We can have some of the ingredients, maybe lacking a few, put it in the oven, and we get a perfect cake. So that's to say, even with the not ideal dew points and the not ideal temperatures, we could get an isolated severe thunderstorm. Certainly not widespread, and I would lean more towards wind and hail being the greatest threats. And then we move ahead to Thursday into Friday. This is a second system, so they're going to happen back to back. Temperatures will start to cool on down as we head into Thursday. This system will likely bring us rain and a mix, turning over to a mix to snow as it goes further into Friday as temperatures drop, and then continuing overnight Friday into Saturday. If we can get that cooler air to stick around for longer in the day or so leading up to that half day or so leading up to that second system, we might get more snow than mix or even rain. But again, my confidence is growing, but it's not as high as my confidence with that first system Tuesday into Wednesday. Jalen and folks at home, as I mentioned, our long-range models, because that second system with the snow is still about 7 days out, they're starting to look more similar. And I would venture to guess by at least Tuesday, we will have a very clear picture as to what that system may or may not look like Thursday night into Friday. All in all, that's to say it is going to be an active week after Monday. President's Day, looking at some record high temperatures in the 60s, and we will go from the 60s to the 30s within a week, and overnight lows will go from the 40s to about the teens over this week as well. So right. I've had folks on Facebook say, I'm not ready for winter to end quite yet. And I said, don't worry, it's not done quite yet, hint, hint, because I saw this coming, and I think if I had to guess, if you had to ask me right now, I think we will get both systems. And I think we will get a little bit of snow by this time next week. Not a lot, but a little bit of snow.
That's life in the Midwest for you.
It is life in the Midwest as we get out of winter and going into spring. I would say certainly within March, we will probably get more of these really warm days, still a cold day, and maybe even a little bit of snow. Yeah. All
right, well,
we will keep you updated.
Stay ready.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. Coming up in sports, UW Athletics shows out this weekend. Sports Director Andrew Bancher joins us with all of the highlights.
And now, News 3 Now Sports, brought to you by TDS Telecom.
Last night at the Kohl Center was about as electric as it gets. Wisconsin men's basketball trying to keep that momentum going and that streak of beating top 10 teams alive, hosting number 10 Michigan State.
And man, oh man, did the Badgers meet the moment last night. They beat a top 10 team in Michigan State for the third time this season. That's the first time Bucky's done that in one regular season since 1951. And the better part, they left no doubt about it, beating Sparty by 21 points behind 29 from Nick Boyd and 20 plus from John Blackwell. What a night. Go celebrate it, Greg Garr.
To have moments like this, man, it's just beautiful, and I'm just so proud to be a part of this team. And you know, we got, like I always say, we got way more moments to share together, special moments, and I'm just looking forward to just having fun for these next couple weeks or months, you know, left in the season.
Extremely proud of our group, you know, not just tonight, but how this group has grown and continue to mature and bond together and get better. You know, and obviously we played exceptionally well tonight against a really, really good team.
And let's head to the ice. The number one team in the country, Wisconsin women's hockey, looking for a sweep in Mankato. And this will help. Lacey Eden puts it in the twine. Her 99th career goal. She's wearing that C on her chest with her 5 teammates competing in the Olympics. And in the second, Bucky up 3-1, make it 4-1. Marianne Picard gets this one to go, but the Badgers still weren't done. In the third, it's the sophomore Finley McCarthy converting on the one-timer. She had 3 points today, 5 in the series. Watch out for her in these next couple of years as the Badgers roll the Mavericks, finishing off the sweep with a 5-1 victory. And on the men's side, Wisconsin men's hockey trying to turn that 6-game losing streak into a 4-game winning streak. And in the second, halfway through it, Vasily Zelenov gives the Badgers the lead, make it 2-1 Bucky. And just when things looked like they were going well, they turn back in the other direction. Ohio State scores 2 unanswered and snaps Bucky's good luck streak, taking it 3-2 in Columbus.
Out of this penalty box the rest of the game. Now a turnover. Gordon shoots and scores.
We're having a bit of a Midwest summer this weekend. You know, it's been beautiful outside the past day or so.
Yeah.
How much longer is this going to stick around, Blaze?
Yeah, we're looking at the 50s as we go into not only Sunday, but into Monday as well. For context, we should be right around 31 degrees, and we're going to be double that as we go into Monday. Starting off the next work week, maybe on the slightly better side. Maybe we won't see a case of the Mondays, but we will have plenty of sunshine. Record-setting high temperatures possible for many across southern Wisconsin as we start off next week. Enjoy it because rain and thunderstorms move in Tuesday night into Wednesday, and then a rain-snow mix turning over to snow moves in Thursday night into Friday, and we look to stay in those 30s by next weekend.
They just got to come in and try to dampen the fun, but we'll at least enjoy the next 2 days. Thank you, Blaze. Sign photos up next. We'll see you back here tomorrow.